So we're down at the lake. We get the boat off the trailer, bring it up here and park it in the lot, and we find out that we've got brake fluid running out of this right here at the bottom of this neck. It's running out and making a mess of things. So I tore this all apart today, and the master cylinder in there is definitely leaking. It was bucking on the way down here. When you go to put your brakes on, the trailer would get the bucking between the trailer and the truck, because there's a shock absorber in there also, and that shock absorber is bad also. So we're going to try to take it apart and patch it up to get it home, and when we get it home, we're going to pull this tongue out of here, and we're going to show you how to take care of this whole situation, this whole problem that's going on here. But there's nothing worse than having no brakes on your trailer. So, and there's also a difference between a 4-pin and a 5-pin. If you got a 5-pin, they've got a little solenoid in here that powers up when you put it in reverse, so that when you go to back up, it doesn't let your brakes apply. I don't have a 5-wire. I've got the regular 4-flat, so I don't have that solenoid, which makes my repair going to be a little cheaper. But when we get it home, we're going to pull this tongue out of here. We'll take it up to the shop and we'll disassemble it, and we'll show you every bit of it piece by piece. But some of them have a fold-away tongue, some of them have a removable tongue, some of them don't have either one, but it's awful nice to have a removable tongue because you can get it out of your way and close your garage door and keep your boat inside. This particular trailer, I've owned it for years, and about a year ago we was going to the lake and I had to get on my brakes real hard, and a trailer come up and hit me, and the next thing you know, it's bucking me and it's fighting, and it's almost get you to the point where you're out of control. And I thought, man, oh man, that's not right. So I bled the master cylinder, and the brakes on the back of it was put on, you know, the whole backing plate assemblies and all was put on about a year ago, and I looked at them and they were good, and I tried to bleed the brakes, and the brakes, there was no air in the brakes. So I started disassembling this thing, and I found out what was going on. So inside of that tongue, right in here, is your master cylinder, and there's a shock in there. And this shock that's in my tongue is completely wore out. You can just take it, when I pull it out of there, and I'll show it to you, you can just take it and go back and forth with it. There's nothing there. This is a brand new one, and you can see by pushing on it how tight of a tension that is on this shock. Since then, my master cylinder started leaking. When it rains, it pours, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to take this and we're going to show you how to disassemble this and how to put in a master cylinder and a shock and put it all back together. We're going to go over bench bleeding your master cylinder. So we'll get started here. First thing we have to do is both of these pins that hold this whole unit in here have to come out at the same time. And what I like to do is take the snap rings off, slide the pin out, and at the same time you slide the pin out, I use a 3/8 drive 1/2 inch or a 3/8 drive 13mm socket and slide back in the hole. That holds all the parts together, so as you're sliding it out, you know, and especially for putting it back together. If you're going to put it back together, you can put them in there, and then when you slide the pins in, you push the sockets out. It works really well. So as it comes out, get this tongue out of my way here. There's your quick coupler. You'll see where that socket is holding this all together here. So we pull the sockets out of here. We'll start sliding this thing out in pieces. Here comes one plastic wheel and another plastic wheel. And then you have two steel wheels in the front. There's one of them. There's your other one. Now as this unit comes out, the safety trip cable's got to slide in too as it's going out. So now there I've just slid out the whole mess. Let me get that camera down there a little bit better so you can see it. Also a pair of rub blocks on the sides. Let me get this camera down here so you can see this a little bit better. So you see how the trip cable hooks on here, comes back through this little loop, this little opening here, comes back and it goes over the top of this. When that shaft is in there and this wheel is in there, it goes up over the top of that, like that right there. So when you put it back together, you need to make sure that you have it all in the right place. So you can just take this and slide this off and pull that out. Pull your cable out like that. Pull your plunger out. Now look at this shock. Nothing there. That's why that trailer was bucking me so bad, was because of that shock. Well, then I got all the way down to Arkansas and it started leaking fluid out of the back of the master cylinder. I couldn't find any parts for it anywhere. So I pulled this all apart, and the very last seal ring, I took it and I turned it upside down and cleaned all the garbage out of it, and it made me home. But now we're going to put it all in there new. But you can see there's nothing left of that shock. So what we're going to do now is we're going to pull off our brake line, and we're going to take our coupling off, and we're going to get our new master cylinder right here, and we're going to go over there and we're going to fill it full of brake fluid, and we're going to bench bleed it. And bench bleeding is whether you're putting a master cylinder on a car or you're putting it on surge brakes or whatever you're doing, you need to bench bleed it so that you get all the air out of the chamber, so when you go to put it on that you have a lot less trouble fighting getting the air out of it. If you bench bleed it, it always works to your advantage. So we'll get it in the vise over here. We'll get the hose. We'll leave the coupler off of the end of it, and we're going to recycle the fluid right back into the master cylinder as we operate the master cylinder, and it will continuously work back and forth to get all the air out of that chamber. Let me get that coupling off, get that hose off. I'll get this in the vise, and then we'll go from there. So we filled the reservoir full of brake fluid, .3 brake fluid. And what I like to use is a Phillips screwdriver to activate it. But it drank that right down, and it didn't even come out the hose yet. So it drank that right down. It's starting to come out of the hose, and it's circulating it back through, but it sure is a drinking her down. Now you can imagine if you was trying to do this on a trailer, what a pain it is to have to activate that tongue. Every time. Now right there, I'm getting no more air bubbles out of it. So I'm going to leave that submersed, and I'm going to get my quick couple fitting and put on the end of it right now. Now my quick couple fitting's full of fluid. So is my hose. Put the reservoir lid back on it. Tighten up these two fittings. Next thing we'll do is we'll get that new shock and bolt that shock on. That shock only bolts on with one little 3/8 bolt. So there we're all sealed up. We've got a little bushing here going on. Just like that. Now we're ready to take it back over there and put it back in the tongue again. So we fished this little safety cable through our little bracket here. We got our shock lined up. We've got our plastic wheels in our deep well socket, holding them together. And now we're just going to take our time and we're going to slide this assembly inside of this as we go here. Shock is coming on up, and this is coming on up, the cable's coming on up. Get the other steel wheel put in. So now that we have our wheels and everything put in here, and we've got our little deep well sockets in there, stuff the whole thing back down in the tongue. We got to fish this quick coupling down through a hole inside of there yet. Get it headed my way here. Quick couple to come out of this hole right here. just like that. And then continue to push it on in there until I get my deep well sockets in there to line up. So as I push the pin in, I push the socket out. So there's one of them. And then this one here will be the next one. So as I push it in, push the socket out. Like that. Now then, put on the washer and the snap ring. Pretty heavy duty snap ring. Get that baby on there like that. I always like to turn that snap ring just a little bit to make sure it's in the groove. I'll do this one the same way. Put the washer on. And then the snap ring. Pretty good snap rings. And then when you get it on there, turn it a little bit. Make sure it's in the groove, like that. So it's full of fluid. It's been bench bled. Our coupler's on there. We're good to go. So the last thing I did here was I got the boat on the trailer now. I blocked the wheels. And what I did was I got in the truck and I backed the truck up until it stopped. And I'm looking at how far this pin travels. So when you're going forward, the pin's all the way to the front. When your brakes need adjusted, it's all the way to the back. So you can block your wheels and check your brake adjustment on your trailer, or if it's got air in it, it's going to let it go back too far. But when it's sitting in the middle like this and it's got pressure on it, you're in pretty good shape. So I hope everybody learned a little something here, and it's not that difficult. You just got to have a little bit of patience. So take your time and you'll get it right. Thanks for watching.